Tyson, Friday. Hey Simon, welcome to Nonstop Rock Talk. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Tyson.
No problem. I'm really digging the new track, Souls of Fire. In these kind of unfortunate times, it's really, I think it was a really cool thing for you guys to have a portion of the proceeds of the song going to Trinity Health of New England, I believe it was. Why them? Why was that the chosen? I'm sure it's a health facility, obviously.
Yeah, well, we have a connection with a few health facilities, and we just we decided to go with that one because our connection was more personal.
Cool, that's cool. Now, can you tell me? Let's talk about the track itself. That the riff, the intro riff, is kind of reminds me of like King's X or something. The verse kind of moves really nicely. I love how the riff is kind of incorporated in spots during the verse, but not throughout the whole thing. And then it's just like these moving chords, and then you'll hear that riff. Can you tell me a bit about the song itself?
Sure. The song is, speaks for what, the way we feel right now. We wanted to do something that was, uplifting and that would suggest personal power, more in a exciting way of strength than, a lot of musicians and artists have been doing videos and Zoom videos, and including myself, and doing covers and which has been really nice, But they're all more like in the sense of, we're going to get through this. It was a little laid back. We wanted to do something that was a little more explosive, a little more euphoric, a little more, in the spirit of rock and roll, where it's not just we're going to survive, we're going to strive, So the song was recorded about 3 months ago, so it was like, finished about 1 or 2 weeks before the real craziness started. But it just happened to, we were like, well, when would be a good time to put this out? And well, let's wait a little bit and see, and then it just come to us, and then just the feeling came to us, and we wanted to with the music and the lyrics and the riff and all that, power chords, and have a very uplifting, powerful injection of adrenaline, because people are a little bit, down, of course, for good reasons, including us. But nobody have done that. Everybody was singing "Let It Be" and and it's gonna be okay and all that kind of stuff. And we wanted to do something that would be more, a little more euphoric. So, but the song was there. The lyrics, they're just basically a reflection of everything that's been going on, but from a perspective of ending ending in a stronger way than, and in a more positive way than we were before.
Yeah.
It takes courage at times like these to do this. It's much easier to complain about everything, and there's a lot. There's a lot to complain. But we didn't want to be part of that. So the riff was there. Jimmy wrote the riff, and then he sent it to me. I used some words that I had before, and the song just came about. And arrangement is very important, and then that's why we put the riff towards the end of the last chorus, so it ties in with the beginning.
Yeah.
And we've done this in previous songs, but it's just something that creates the feeling of a conclusion and a peak. So the song ends up in its peak. Right. Sounds very calculated, but it was not. Okay. It was just, I'm trying to describe in words something that artistically just happened, but it did happen like that.
Oh, that's cool. You're in California, I believe. and I'm up here in Toronto, we're still kind of, there's still a lot of isolation. Last week they opened up some shops. What is happening there in terms of things opening up?
A lot more severe here than the rest of the country. But nobody would have a problem with it. People are very, very civilized and very respectful. There's basically things are opening, baby steps, and people are at this point, I think, traumatized enough subconsciously where if somebody gets close to you, there's a bell that rings in your head. You don't need to remember everything that's going on. So I think that's happening to everybody. I think it's going well. Things are reopening, but not like Georgia or Florida, where they, a lot more. But you can't apply the same rule to every place because every community is different. So I feel good. I feel okay with it.
That's cool.
I think it's going towards the right direction, and I think that people are prepared if everybody was caught by this thing with no idea of what to do. Now there is, it's something. It's a day-by-day thing. If something changes, things will change with it. I trust it.
Yeah. It's funny here on the weekend. Somehow a park, they opened up a park and it was complete chaos. It was like, and our government stepped in, the Premier of Ontario, and he's just like, what is going on here? Like, this isn't what we want happening, right?
That's not the idea. Here the parks are open, but it's very, very, everybody, they take responsibility, I'm not even talking about wearing masks, or nobody gets close to each other, and this is the way you should be. You can't keep everybody in. It's just people need to learn to get out and stay away and respect the situation. But there's crazy people that jump in a pool, 100 people in a pool together, and that kind of stuff. On the other hand, there's the other extreme of it, which is, I was born in a free country, and I'll do whatever I want. It starts turning into a political thing, which is completely stupid, in my opinion. And you just do what you should do, and that's it.
Yeah. I even find myself, if I have to go to a store, that I find that I'm very, right from the beginning, self-conscious about getting close to somebody, because I don't want to, I don't want to make them uncomfortable, and vice versa. You know what I mean? It's just you kind of adapt to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's happening naturally without any thought.
Yeah.
Once a person gets near you, we are already traumatized enough with this. At least the people who care, where it feels uncomfortable. You just, okay, that's too close here. And it's not something that I'm going to think about this right now. But the bell is ringing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Now let's talk about the artwork for Souls of Fire. I just happened to see it this morning, and I was listening to the song a couple times. That cover looks amazing. It's got that, that medical symbol with, I believe, is the earth, and the earth's kind of glowing in a circle. Who did that artwork?
That was Melody. She works with Tom Hazer at AMP at the label that's putting this out. EMP label group with the label from David Ellefson from Megadeth, which it's actually the same label that released their album 3 years ago, Get Off Your Ass.
Yeah.
So we just, they got totally into it, and she did that. The caduce, which is, the medical symbol.
Yeah.
It was basically her idea to do this. We wanted to tie things in, and of course, Souls on Fire, the word fire, translating into power and into light, and she did a really great job with that perspective of flying through space and that's thing moving and all this. So this was a real treat. That she basically listened to the song for a few days and came up with that. what an artist does.
Wow, that's very cool. I mean, sometimes you look at a cover and it speaks volumes. Sometimes you just see a cover and you're like, ah, it's a cover. But I think that one is very well done. It really stands out. Now, did she do Get Off Your Ass? Did she do the cover for that one as well? Because that's a great cover too.
She did parts of it, and I actually think that she did. It was a rocket taking off, and then it was she turned it into the A, and then she just made it more detail. And that's basically part of the concept that we're going for, which is empowering rock and roll. We're taking off. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna strive. Just have some adrenaline and have some euphoria in your life. Don't allow your rational perspective of what's happening during the day, especially the news, to determine what kind of energy you're going to project throughout your day, because that energy is really what's going to create whatever's coming next. That's a reality.
No, that's cool. Now, is this is going back to the song, the single? Mm-hmm. Is this to coincide? Will there be another album coming forth?
Well, we're going to do the same thing we did previously with Get Off Your Ass, which is in that situation we released a single at the time, every 2 months or every 3 months, and on iTunes, and we didn't have the label yet with us. And they signed us, and we had another 2 songs recorded. We added, and then we said, well, let's write another 4 songs and just complete the album. And it was just the iTunes was kind of just a little introduction. It was kind of a small deal, so there was plenty of room to promote the song. So it's the same thing we're going to do now. So we put Souls on Fire. We want to put all the energy into that song right now, because especially these days, as the attention span is so short, you put out a whole album, and people get lost in it. They don't even know what song where. It's just the way the songs are. The songs are, there's just too much information. So we figured it's more fair for the song. And if you have a song that you believe is strong and you that reflects what how the way you feel, put all the energy in that song. So we're gonna do this is a single now. Yeah. We'll probably do another 2 singles like this within the next 6 months. And then we have tons of songs, and then we'll probably follow the same strategy, which is after we gave a good, push or focus on 3 or 4 singles, we'll pack them together because people were already liked it, and we'll include a few more songs and release an album with a concept.
I mean, that's actually a great way of doing things, especially nowadays. Like you said, people are more geared toward, it's like going back to like the 50s and 60s when people were more geared to hearing just a song, a single, right?
Yeah, the 45s, if labels used to do that in the past, that when they sign new acts, they don't want to just make a whole album. They would test it first, put 2 or 3 singles out first on 45s before they would spend all that money. There was a reason why they did that, but the thing right now is we are self-sufficient. We record here. Our drummer is the producer and recording engineer as well, and we play the instruments. We arrange. We sing everything. There's no it's all real stuff, and we have enough experience where we can record, mix, master, do everything. And so having songs is not a problem, really. It's really how to utilize them in the best way.
Right. Now, last year I caught Autograph at the M3. That was Saturday. Yeah, it was great. I had never been to M3 before. And
that was a strange... I remember that very well. because everybody went out the night before and probably drank until hours. Well, believe me, you were not the only one.
I know it was packed.
So then they were supposed to be there, like, and we played at 12 o'clock, so people were like still recuperating and stuff. But, you play festivals and sometimes you get certain slots and, and you just go with it, I'm sure if you played at 7 o'clock or 7 o'clock that night, I don't know if Whitesnake or whoever played there at that time, they probably had a more rested audience, but we enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it was good.
I left my wife at the hotel actually and said I'm going for the beginning. So I think it was Tora and then you guys. So I was one of the people that actually saw, and everybody was recovering, but I was still there till 3 a.m. But I made a point of getting up, and then I went down to the hotel I went for a run on the treadmill to try and, make myself feel better from the night before.
I'm sure you were probably, if not the only one of the few who did something like this, because I do that stuff too. I that's what I do to maintain myself with good energy. I do these little runs and workouts during the day. But the majority of the people, they were like, the first night was here's the first night. We're just hungry for everything. That's just like, so everybody just danced and sang and drank until late hours and. The next day, it's not like everybody's 15 years old anymore. The next day, it takes a little toll. But you know what? I mean, the reality is that we got them on their feet in the last 2 songs. So that was not easy, but we did.
It was a good day. I mean, the whole weekend was good, and we did. I think both days we made it back for noon, and we did go to the hotel. But that's just me. Being my first time there, it was kind of like we came all the way from Toronto all that way. You don't want to drive and, and miss the bands. It was a great time. So now.
If it was our first time, it's always special because a lot of the people go there every year and they're used to stuff. But first times are always, you want to really make sure you saw this and you were there and you experienced it and it's just, So we've done it 4 of them, I think now. This was a 4th. I think this was a 4th, yeah.
That's awesome. Now, I wanted to ask you, going back to Get Off Your Ass, 3 years later, how do you feel about that album?
I feel fine with it. I think that it was, albums are basically a reflection of whatever state of mind the band was at certain times, or I mean, this it still has the same. If it takes Souls on Fire, it still has the same spirit of the other songs on Get Off Your Ass. I mean, like I was saying, you can say Get Off Your Ass because I'm going to Get Off Your Ass because your soul is on fire. And by the way, go turn up the radio.
That's perfect, man. Great.
So basically, you put the titles together.
Yeah.
And it's once again, we're a band that this new lineup since 2013. We always going through to the notions of self-empowerment and positivity and a little sarcasm here and there.
Yeah.
So I feel good about it. I think that the song rocks. It's not nearly as deep as Souls on Fire. But once again, none of this was calculated. So I think I was just finding out in the last years of my life that when things come to you, most of the time they come in a form that's better than you would have probably thought that you knew you wanted before. It's very, very effortlessly what's happening. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that album, and it still plays everywhere I go.
You know what? That album, it surprised me when I first heard. I was like, I thought it was fantastic. And I had it on again today too. So I was listening to it and I really liked it. And I mean, it's different. It's different but I mean, going 25, 30 years later, of course it's going to be different, right?
Well, I'm not the same person. You're not the same person. We don't think the same. We don't feel the same. We don't look the same. Why would anybody? Some people forget. Old hardcore diehard fans that 35 years doesn't mean anything. But it was a different world. If they only knew what these people would look like or sound like right now, if two guys died, the original singer didn't want to have anything to do with it. So, thank you, because I'll take it from here. And the last thing that happened is Steve Lynch left for reasons that we never really understood, but we didn't want him to leave, but he did leave.
Yeah.
And we ended up with Jimmy Bell falling on our lap. So I can't say anything about this because I've never seen anybody play guitar like Jimmy Bell. He's not from this planet. It's extraterrestrial. And so I'm very happy or very comfortable with the way the situation is. I never intended for this band to be a nostalgic reproduction of the old lineup. When, as a matter of fact, we didn't want to replace the keyboards because two reasons. One, he was very much part of the band.
Yeah.
Second, we wanted to go for a more modern sound, which would include the same harmonies, the same anthems, the same conception. But when you play chords that you played on a keyboard, and when you play on a guitar, it sounds harder. It sounds more rock. I can take the Back in the Black AC/DC album right now and play 3 songs on the keyboards, and it's gonna lose all the balls.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do at that era, there was in 1984 or whatever, there were bands like Bon Jovi coming out with Little Runaway.
Yep.
It was Journey, Foreigner. It's all keyboards, sort of like semi-progressive. Some of them more rock, but all the songs that kicked ass, were so. The combination of the two reasons, we don't want to have another guy there, and let's just. And I told them, I said, look, I know I'm not in this to just do what the guy from Journey did, which is he just put somebody that sounds just like him as a nostalgic reproduction of, I know in the short term it's going to be more difficult, but in the long term we're going to go further.
Yeah.
And I'm up for the ride, but I'm a songwriter. That's what I do. I'm a lead singer. I play guitar. I play other instruments. And I'm going to sound like I do, and I'm going to write the stuff that, with all that said, we're going to keep the same spirit, the same harmonies, the same level of fun and of self-empowerment. Turn Up the Radio is a song like that. Yeah. It's like, it's like Nothing But a Good Time by Poison.
Yeah.
It's the same spirit. So I explain that so thoroughly because why did you do, throughout the years you hear or you read some comments here and there saying, well, they don't sound like they used to sound. Well, that's not a coincidence. Like it or don't like it. Don't think so much about it. So at a certain point, we almost thought about calling it Autograph 2.0.
Yeah.
But no. But we have the name. Randy owns the name. Okay. So he's entitled to using it as much as he wants.
Excellent. I understand they were looking for a singer, and you were doing the Monsters of Rock cruise with Jailhouse, and that's kind of the first time they had saw you?
Well, we were in the same scene. They were in L.A. I was in L.A. I've been living in L.A. since '85. Yeah. So we all heard of each other and stuff. But yeah, I was doing a reunion with Jailhouse for fun. Actually, one of the members didn't even go in 2013, and it's not like I don't know if they were looking for a singer. I got a call saying that they were talking about reforming and stuff, and it was very, very organic how everything happened. And once I got to meet them, and actually first we talked on the phone for hours and exchange ideas and memories of and people that we just happened to all know by different circumstances. So there was we identified very well with each other, mainly Randy and I. Once we met and we played together, it wasn't like there was an audition or they were looking for. It just kind of, they were not ready to do it either. I pushed it. Let's do it. Let's And we talked to the agent, and this is an agent that is also very very have the same kind of state of mind, and he understood what we were doing. We played at Mace, the rehearsal studio here in North Hollywood, and he came down and saw it and understood what we were doing. And that same year, we played at the Moondance Festival, which is pretty huge. And then we did a lot of stuff. And, we've been playing since then,
Yeah. You got Autograph was on the Lime. Was it? I can't remember the name of it now, but I was there. So Sunday at Lima in Ohio, I believe you guys played, but I think I missed it because my wife and I were heading home and we didn't get to see you guys. So
I think that was another strange show. Was it Vince Neil? There was a
I think Vince Neil's gonna. Did he? Yeah, I think he played later that day, and it was all mud and.
Yeah, there was a lot of mud. Yeah, I remember.
And it was. I don't think they ever did it again, and it didn't go as they had planned. I don't think, because I don't think the numbers were there as much, which was too bad.
Sometimes you gotta try. You gotta do it a few years to build it.
Exactly.
Like them.
Yeah, but you know what? The Saturday was good, except for, it poured Friday night, and that's why everything was so. Yeah. And unfortunately,
I heard of it. I heard when I got there for sound check. Oh, you should have seen last night. It was crazy and stuff. So I'm seeing a bunch of mud here right now.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was. Yeah. It was, and it was, and then it miraculously the sun came out and it all day, and it dried up by night, and it was good. So.
Yeah.
I was actually just listening to Jailhouse before I actually called you.
Oh.
I have the one was done by the one album was a Canadian label, De Rock Records. There's a lot of tunes on that album too, and I have the EP as well. I have them both. I hadn't listened to them in a while. That was a cool band though. Oh.
Yeah, it was, around the same era that Autograph was a little bit, around the same era when Autograph was sort of like fading in the 80s. Jailhouse was, and we got, 3 videos on MTV at that time, in moderate rotation and stuff. We did some touring, but it really never, took off, but the music was good. It was a different kind of, band, which was also ironically, a merging of a first original Jailhouse lineup with 3 guys that were in a band called Rough Cut.
Yeah, and it's funny listening to the one because I'm assuming the timeline, because some of the lyrical content was a little bit there was like political. It sounded political, and then you'd have then there'd be like a more party song, and I'm assuming those demos were probably, you guys were together from 88 to 91.
Yeah, it was a band that was a little confused because there was a guy in the band that that wanted to stand out from the typical, party 80s lyrics. And but if you're going to do that, you really need to know stuff. You need to, so you can't just do it to do it. So we had some disagreements there on that, and so of course they went back and forth between what's reality for what we were living, which was living in LA at the height of the Sunset Strip.
Yeah,
that's what does that have to do with racial tensions in Louisiana? Nothing, But quite frankly, I didn't have much to do with that writing other than the music.
I know. I was looking at the credits, and it's all him, right? And I was like, oh, I thought that was kind of odd, but
it was a monopoly to a certain extent, where there was a relationship between him, not a romantic relationship, but there was a relationship between him and the manager, where the manager believed this guy was, a great writer, and he was good. He was really good, but but this calculation and obsession on making 5 guys that are partying in LA, at the height of the thing, have empathy and knowledge about. Gene Simmons wanted to sign us. We went over his house twice, and he said, "I love the band, I hate the lyrics."
Wow.
And then this guy argued with him, and he said to him, "Well, I don't want to write lyrics just about making out in the back of my car." And then Gene said, "Well, I'm not suggesting you do that, but there's a song that was called Seasons of Suffering, so it just really was out of place." But once again, the music was very strong.
Yeah. There was some. Yeah, there was some very. Listening to the guitar parts too. I was listening to the guitar, and I was like, "Wow, that's very cool," and it was very cohesive. But it was, like you said, it was a little confusing because I'm like, "What? Was it The Long Way Up?" Was very.
That is, The Long Way Up was more.
That was a good song.
Yeah, Long Way Up was more rock and roll. It was more where we. It was more where we should have stayed, really, in that kind of spirit. It's like it's a long way to if you want to play rock and roll, or it's a long way up. At least you're talking about, but when it became political and more political stuff, it's like it's like as bad as when Kiss did The Elder.
The Elder. I knew you were going to say that.
Which, of course, later everybody likes it, but it was just trying to do something to try to do something, and that's not right. You got to do what comes natural.
Yeah, I remember you guys were in every issue of Metal Edge for like months, and that
was certainly not because of the political lyrics.
No, no, and to be honest. The last thing the magazine would need it would be a political band in there. That was a part. Yeah, and I kind of get it going into the 90s. There were some bands that were shifting a little bit, but it is.
Well, that was not us. The shift happened naturally in the 90s. Certain bands, but that was not what we were doing. That was not the experience that this one writer that you saw that his name is on everything. That was not the experience that he was having in his life. He was living in a 3-story house, being supported by a manager, loaded with money. And what business does he have to talk about? If they're homeless people on the street, or what do you know about this? It's like. And that's why we were scolded by Gene, and rightfully, with all his, he's got a lot of, he's a very blunt person, and but we got signed to Restless Records and made a live album. It's almost like the band was so powerful musically and visually that people would go to the show and just kind of not even listen to the, They would go with the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's kind of cool. It was just such a weird thing to me. There was a bunch of bands in metal edge like that, though. You would hear about them. I always thought it was cool that they followed the LA scene and what was going on, and they had that Rock on the Rise section and all that stuff. And
I was very good friends with Jerry Miller when she moved from New York to LA and all that stuff. So she's got this illusion around the time. Yeah, it was, I don't know, just when music started changing, she just didn't want to have anything to do with it. And it changed radically, too. It went from that metal edge life and more Warrant and all those bands and us. And it went all of a sudden from Night to Day that became the lamest thing in the world, and the least, whatever you want to call it, the most shallow whatever. And then all of a sudden music became very serious, with Seattle and all that stuff, and good stuff came out of that. But there's a lot of bands I love from the 90s.
I do too. I totally agree. I do too.
So it is good and bad in everything. It just depends on what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Now, your band after that, I believe they did a write-up on that too, I think. Was it Flood? Was that your band after?
The band after that was Grind.
Grind, right. Sorry. Yes.
And I had a partner who was an airplane mechanic, and I worked with him for a year or two. We wrote great songs. We really, we were really good writers together. And I used to visit him at the Santa Monica airport here and there. And he died. The plane, on a Friday, he took off, and he was not even piloting the plane. The plane just crashed, and it was horrible.
Oh, sorry.
So that was a very, very traumatic experience. And then from there on, I kept looking for a continuation of that situation, and landed meeting a drummer that was previously in that band called Black Bambi in LA, and another guitar player. And anyway, so that led us to a producer, Bob Marlette, which is he did Journey, he did Shine Down, he did Tracy Chapman. So that led us to this producer. He really liked it. And everything was like, okay, now this is the 90s. Let's call it Flood. There was a song that was called Flood. I suggest let's use this name. This is a good name. But the songs they will be, totally different than anything. With experimenting with sounds and that whole sort of like thing that was happening with 9 Inch Nails and Stone Temple Pilots, and it was that time, where every, so we just adapted to that and went along with it and got signed to Interscope, got a huge deal, and we were being managed by Andy Gould. Wow. It's just, but we were signed for 5 years, but then for political reasons, they decided to drop 15 bands after they spent a lot of money with us, and so that's another horror story of the music business, but, I never stop. I always stand up and move on, so then there was a continuation for that, and I decided to become a solo artist and made an album called Human Being that was recorded at home. Yeah. And I played and wrote the album, and just at that moment I didn't want to really be in a band because there was so much experiences of conflict that I had in the past, and that was for that, and I wasn't really, so now Autograph is very special because we have a relationship of trust and respect for each other that is timeless. And that is why we're doing this since 2013. It's 2020 right now.
That's crazy. Seems like you guys just came back out. For 7 years already.
7 years under our belts, and we toured. The original lineup of Autograph never went out of the United States. We already went abroad many times. We played Germany, we played England, we played Mexico, we played Canada, we played, I am in the band now longer than the original singer was in the band.
Wow. I mean, because
he was
yeah.
He was from 83 to 89. I'm from 2013 to 2020. So I got already 6 months, if not a year, of being in this band as a singer and songwriter. Of course, at that time, with the push of MTV and all the albums that were sold, they reached a huge amount of people, where it's much more difficult these days to reach, because you have to play live everywhere, and the radio's not really playing that, they just play the classic rock, but come out with a new album, it in this genre, it takes a lot to get them to play. They don't want to play it. So you gotta rely on other sources, which comes down to really playing live, the live experience.
Yeah. Right now, nobody can, so.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Which right now, it's not very usable, but it will change.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny. Going back to the gentleman we were talking about earlier, I bought the soundtrack years later for a movie. So anyways, I like the band, hunt down the CD, and it turns out it was him writing all the music for this other band, which was like totally different than what Jailhouse was. It was like a total...
What's the name of the band?
Was it Nev, I believe? Neve. Is that how they pronounced it?
Yeah, that's pronounced. Well, basically, this was the same manager that I was referring to before. Continued with him, and and he wrote songs, and then there was this band of young lads that he was managing, and then they just kind of jumped on that style of music of the '90s, but not the alternative or the grunge, but there was like the Blink 182 type of like
that mid '90s, the power poppy, like kind of like Third Eye Blind as well. They could fit in that dish.
Third Eye Blind, exact. That was the band that they idolized as Third Eye Blind, and it was basically an opportunity. Yeah. But he's got his path.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the song. That's why I bought the album. I didn't get into the album. I liked the song, but it was just one of those ones where it's like the first time I heard The Marvelous Three, same thing. I had no idea it was, three guys from the band South Gang and then I open up the CD and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. It was just one of those things that I just came across it, or it was played on the radio or something like that. It was
right. They did some touring, I think, with some pop bands and stuff. We keep in touch like here and there. So we all have hard to not know when you have social media too, because So it's all good.
It is all good. Well, Simon, I want to thank you for coming on the show today and giving me like so much insight into everything, man. That was so great.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Is there anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
Just want to say thank you very much for having me. I want to say for everybody to go to autographband.com, check out our main website, listen to Souls on Fire. Proceeds are being donated to the Trinity, and I believe the song should it's getting really good response. We're going to be out there playing soon, and it's all about the live show. So if you want to have a good time and get your ass kicked, that's one thing I can promise you that's going to happen. See you then.
Okay. Thanks, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great night. Great day. Bye-bye.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
desperation.